But how about this for a great feel-good story? A hoard of Bronze Age artefacts have been discovered in the Scottish borders. It includes a complete horse harness and a sword. They're thought to be around 3,000 years old. The discovery, this is the best bit, was made by a metal detectorist who spent the next 3 weeks camping out at the site to protect the objects and watch a team of archaeologists at work. Incredible. He found this, and archaeologists have said this is a huge find. This is massive. The curator at Scotland's National Museum is Matthew Knight. He told the BBC he'd never seen anything quite like it.
What's really astonishing about this hoard is not just the preservation of the bronze aspects of the harness, but we also have the organic remains. So for the first time ever, we can see how a horse harness was assembled by tracing 3,000-year-old remains of leather straps, very ornately decorated and intricately made.
Let's speak now to Graham Rushton. Graham is from Unearthed UK. He's based in Dalton-in-Furness, and he's been a keen metal detectorist for nearly 40 years. Welcome to the show, Graham.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Oh, it's lovely to have you on. Before we talk about this find, first up, Dalton-in-Furness, did you get the thunder and lightning last night?
Oh, did we? I mean, it was on an epic level. We've never seen thunder and lightning and rain quite like it. Absolutely incredible.
Really? When did it start for you?
Well, we started, we sort of went to bed around about 10 p.m, and the lightning started in the background and distant thunder, and by midnight it was right over us, and it lasted until 3 a.m.
Goodness me. Yeah, similarly, about 11 o'clock it started for me here in sort of Carlisle city centre, through easy until 4, but really impressive. So you got all the flashes.
It was an amazing display of nature, absolutely.
Wasn't it? And what's it like this morning? You know, it's the morning after the night before.
Yeah, we're pretty much back to square one. It's hot and humid, and I guess that is going to come again at some point today.
I think so. I think we're expecting some more rumbles. Not as extreme as last night, but keeping an eye on that. Oh, wowee, Graham. Well, very impressive display in Dalton-in-Furness, and your photos and tweets are all quite something. But let's talk about this Bronze Age find. What was your reaction when you heard this news?
Oh, I mean, this is just an amazing discovery, and it is, you know, the experts are classing it as a discovery of national importance, and that's exactly what it is. You know, Bronze Age horse harness and a sword. You know, there's very, very few Bronze Age hoards discovered on the borders anyway. So it is a really, really special find. And we were really amazed by the discovery. The condition of the artefacts are still pretty much spot on. Just absolutely blown away by its historic significance.
I love that the chap who found it, you know, he sort of was protecting it. So how does that all work? Because now and then these kind of stories hit the headlines. I remember the Crosby Garrett helmet. What happens now? Who has sort of responsibility of the artefacts?
Well, I mean, the detectorist, first and foremost, did an amazing job in finding it first off.
Yeah.
So, you know, hats off to him for discovering the hoard, because chances are this probably wouldn't have been found if he didn't swing his metal detector over it. Chances are it could have still remained in the ground for another 3,000 years. Who knows? So he did first off, he did an amazing job, but he did the right thing. He called in the archaeologists, and then they took over. They did, you know, really sort of delicately unearth the objects and artifacts over a number of weeks. Painstaking work, actually, but they've actually been able to map the historic context of this find. So they've got details, they've got leather fragments in there, they've got sort of decoration coming up, the sword is pretty much intact, the horse harnesses themselves are pretty much intact. Wow. So, you know, he flagged it up to the authorities, they took over, and now it's their responsibility.
He said he was shaking with happiness. Marius Stepin found this. Is that that is the right thing to do? Is there sort of a code of conduct that he did amazing? Yeah. It's your responsibility to then pass it on, as you say, to the appropriate authorities, and because it is of historical significance. This isn't owned by anyone, is it?
Well, this is, you know, we've got to think of it in the context of this. Now should be in a museum for people to come in, the Scottish people to come into a museum. I mean, I'm not sure which museum it will end up in, actually, but it should be on display to the public once it's preserved and cleaned, and we've got more details behind the find for everybody to enjoy. And again, going back to the detectorists, and if anybody actually wants to start detecting, then they've got to make sure that, first off, they get permission for the landowner to detect on there in the first place, but they've also got to follow the detecting code of conduct. And I think Marius did a wonderful job. He protected the find. He said he was shaking. He's probably still shaking, actually, now, because the find is that national important find that only comes up every now and then. So, yeah, he's done a terrific job. Absolutely amazing.
Oh, it's one of my favourite things. I love this kind of story. And, that initial excitement, thinking, hang on, this could be something huge.
Yeah.
I cannot even imagine how Marius was feeling. Because normally, talk us through a day. You've been doing it for almost 4 decades, Graham. What have you found?
Well, we've been doing it for a significant amount of time now, nearly 4 decades, like you just mentioned. And our normal day out in the field is pretty much a mundane day. We find a few copper coins, we find things like lead and shotgun shells and ring pulls and crushed Coke cans, and you name it, every sort of selection of the modern junk that's out there, we find it with our detectors. But then every now and then we may stumble across a historic coin, an historic artifact like a Roman brooch or a Roman ring. We may even find a small scatter of Roman bronze coins that consisted of a hoard, and they really make the day special. But, let's keep our feet on the ground. Not every detectorist goes out there and discovers these wonderful hoards. It's pretty much, they're pretty thin on the ground, and you've got to put countless hours in to get the rewards. But it is such a rewarding hobby. It's historic. You're getting fresh air, you're getting exercise. If you do everything by the book, it's one of the best hobbies on the planet.
Oh, you are selling it so well, Graham. I love that. And I feel like the TV show Detectorists has done a lot for your hobby. Did you like that show?
I did, yes. It was a tongue-in-cheek, sort of light-hearted look at the hobby. But actually, when you look at it deeper, it does mirror image some of the clubs, the detecting clubs up and down the country. The characters sort of resemble a lot of detectorists out there. So it's pretty much true to life in so much as, the banter that goes on, the club nights at the pub and that sort of thing. So, yeah, it was pretty accurate, to be fair.
Oh, it was the best kind of comedy. It was really very funny, but really touching at times. And I thought it showed detectorists in a brilliant light. And, you said sort of once in a blue moon, huge discoveries like this happen. Cumbria, though, you'd think maybe the chances, because this was in the Scottish borders, Cumbria, chances might be a bit higher because of our historical past.
Absolutely, and I think, without jumping the gun too much, I think we may actually be on the radio again talking to you guys, because there has been some significant discoveries in Cumbria this year already. Now, these haven't hit the press yet because they're going through the treasure process, but I guess maybe to the end of the year or the start of next year, these will come to light and we'll have this discussion again soon, so it's rather exciting what's coming up.
Oh my goodness, I hope so. Graham, I hope we do chat again. I would like to say how much I love your passion and enthusiasm for what you do. And what is so beautiful, there is such a community with detectorists. I love how happy you are for Marius. There's not even a hint of jealousy that he found this and you didn't.
No, I mean, we all have our day. We do find things. Everybody, that I know detecting-wise have found a really nice coin or a nice artifact. Some of the lucky ones have found a lovely hoard of coins in the past. But pretty much everybody that I know is absolutely amazed by this hoard coming up. And again, we can't thank the detectorist enough for doing what he did. If it wasn't for him, that hoard would be still buried there now, out of sight, out of mind.
Very true. Graham Rushton, thank you so much for joining us today. Graham is a keen metal detectorist. He's been doing it for almost 40 years. He's from Unearthed UK in Dalton-in-Furness. So if you fancy a new hobby, what a brilliant hobby. It's social, it's exercise, and you never know, you might find a hoard like this, a Bronze Age hoard of artefacts, bridles, rings, buckles, all sorts. Horse harnesses, just incredible. So yeah, get in touch with Unearthed UK if you fancy getting involved.